Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sarah and this is Rengoku. So today we are going to do a quick warm-up session. It's a really big day. We are going to go on our first...
Wait.
What?
I'm sorry. I might leave this in, but you have a piece of...
Oh, great. Alfalfa.
The reality of working with horses.
For real. I always have alfalfa everywhere. But so today's a pretty big day. We have an adventure scheduled. We are going to take both the horses into boarding. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and work Shorty a little bit because he does have quite a bit of energy and I don't want him to be too anxious and worked up going into the trailer. I'd like him to be in a bit more of a focused mindset. So we're gonna go through his training routine and give you guys a little bit of update on how he's doing. So without too much blabbing on, I'm gonna go ahead and get him groomed and tacked up and ready to go so you guys can see where he is with his progress. Okay, so I am just going to give him a quick curry and brush because he's a little bit salty and a little bit sandy. So just get him a little cleaned up before we get started. But as you guys can see, he's come a long way. We are working on tying. He's got a safety clip. He's still not the best at it, but he is getting better. So we're just gonna take the small wins, but he's getting used to being tied for grooming and saddling. And he is, we're kind of, since he lacks a lot of confidence, we're just working with him confidently and letting him show us where he needs some support. I have not shown that we can pick up all his feet, so we will get to that when I pick them out. But we are getting, goodness, you are so dirty. Okay. I think he's been playing in the sand hill as well because he's got a ton of sand on him. So he's come a long way when it comes to picking out his hooves. He's normally pretty good for me to do the fronts without any exercise. The backs, it depends on his mood. So, but he's only been letting me pick up the back hooves for about a week now. So, yeah. Ooh.
Oh, he's bowing.
No, he's just trying to. So that's his kind of go-to escape method. But he's getting a little bit better. This is the hoof he's the worst about picking up, and it's kind of shows. There you go, buddy. And since he is tied, I mean, he's got a safety clip, but any little pressure and that pops off. But let's see how he thinks about the hind leg. Since it is real new for him, I keep it pretty in line and low. But he is still, he's at least nice when he doesn't want you to pick it up. But he could be a little bit better. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna try one more time and then I think he might need to be exercised. It's still pretty new thing for him. But we're trying to get him in the routine of picking everything up while we start, so that I can at least clean his hooves out before we get going. Let me go to the other side and do the other hooves real quick. He got away with being a little pushy, I think, before. Don't do it, don't pop it, come on. Come forward. There you go. Bring you all the way forward. So, and one thing I like about that safety clip is he already kind of knew that he's strong enough to pop things. And I rather have the lead rope and everything snap off when he's using light pressure than for him to learn to like hit things really hard and potentially hurt himself or break something. Ooh. Ooh. Good boy. So we're just gonna take the win.
Before you couldn't even touch his legs.
I know.
That's huge progress. I know it might not look good, but
it doesn't look perfect and it's still not perfect. But if you guys remember when I brought him home, I could only get to about here before he would start getting nervous. And now I can go ahead and touch him, mess with him, get his tail. I did wash his tail and everything, which took forever because he's still kind of scared of the water hose. So it just took like a bunch of buckets, so I'd get a bucket and dip it and swish it, and that took forever, but we got it clean. You need another bath already. You're getting kind of dirty. Was that a good spot? That is a good spot. Okay, so now that he is brushed and cleaned, I'm gonna go ahead and tack him up so we can do some ground driving. He's come a long way with his lunging. He's got no issues with that anymore. And we've started ground driving him, but it's still a pretty new thing. So you guys will get to see how he's working through that and processing that. But let me go ahead and get his saddle. All right, and this is gonna look a little bit different from you guys who have seen me work with Vagar. So Vagar is my dressage horse, but Shorty's goals in life are to be a Western horse, which is what I grew up riding. And he's gonna be my husband's horse. So we're just gonna go ahead and get him all tacked up. And I like to come, if he's a little tense, I'll put the pad on more than once, but he is used to being tied and tacked up like a normal big boy. So we just gotta kind of remind him sometimes. But that has been his normal routine lately. So this shouldn't be anything too new for him, but I still like to give him a little looky look because he is kind of a big nervous boy. So, and then just like the English saddles, I hope I dropped my mic. So as you can see, I like to gently place the saddle on just like it was an English saddle. So this is a really light Western saddle, and we gently lay it on his back. I'm gonna ask him to scoot his booty over so that I can get the stirrup down and get the girth all situated. But he has come, I mean, compared to the last couple of videos, we've been doing a lot of training off camera. So he looks pretty much like a different horse compared to what you guys have been seeing. But he's doing swimmingly. And even though, so I said we were ground driving and I'm using the saddle, the surcingle fits him, but I like him having the saddle because it squeaks and it's a bit more for him to process. So I fixed some rings to different points of my saddle so I can use it for lunging and groundwork. And this is something I've had fixed for quite a while on the saddle, and it works really well. This is just a good working saddle for this. And I like to keep the girth pretty loose to start, just enough to keep the saddle in place. And then I'll give him a little walk around before I tighten it. But he's becoming a big boy. All right. So we're gonna give him his little walkie walk with the saddle, so you guys can see how he is. And I did not record the first time he saddled, but he was anxious for like 10 seconds. He threw one little buck on the lunge line, and ever since then he's been just fine. So he's pretty smart working it through. And I like to, ooh, buddy. Yeah, I just tightened the girth. This is the only part where he gets a little claustrophobic for a second. But I tighten it and then I loosened it a bit just so I can get it hooked on the hole. And I tuck the little extra tail so it doesn't hang low. But there we go. That is a saddled Shorty. And he is like no longer short. He decided to be tall all of a sudden. But yeah, that's a good boy. So next I'm gonna lunge him just in like 3 small circles each way, just so that he gets a little feel for the saddle before I put the long lines on him. Even though he has been good with the saddle, I like to just kind of feel him out a little bit before we add too much more to the equation. So we're gonna go right here. Ooh, buddy. Fix your hairs out of the way. And his hair is, I need to figure out a good braid for his hair because it's kind of varying thicknesses, so it doesn't braid as well as Vagar's does. But no, he's not gonna get a haircut. I like his long hair. There we go. I just want him to have a forward-thinking walk because he tends to be a bit lazy. Well, not really. I wouldn't say lazy, I guess, but he can be a bit slow, and then he also had that issue with pulling out. So I would like to have him thinking forward and round on the circle. And I'm not really concerned with him trotting right now. I just want him to get a feel for having everything on him. Good boy. All right. And we're working on getting him to lower his head as well, because he can be a bit of a giraffe. There we go. So lower your head just a bit. There you go. A bit more. There you go. So it's still work in progress. Flick that hair over there. Okay, good boy. Now we're gonna go the other way. And he's remained consistent that like he did not want to go this way to start. This is the way that he would always drag me. And now he tends to be a bit better going this way. He sometimes will have a thought about leaving the circle, but he has not committed to it. So that was a little thought, and we just bump and drive him forward. And now he's thinking good again. And if he's this way, I'm okay with him being a bit more forward and breaking into a trot as long as he is staying in the circle, just because it was such a struggle to get him going to start. And so he gets a little nervous, but works through it. There we go. There you go. Little run. Ooh. Come here. You're such a little doofus. So before I put the driving lines on him, I'm going to work with the saddle a little bit more just so that he can hear it and be used to it. So I like to just pat it all over, let him hear it, let him feel it. And I'm not tiptoeing around him or being cautious about it. I want him to be confident and just know that, you know, if we're messing with the saddle or doing anything, it's not a big deal. Since he's a bit at giraffe mode, we're gonna ask him to lower his head. There we go. Lower again. There you go. Very nice. And now we're back to grass. Okay, and now I'm gonna just do the same thing on the other side. So he's getting used to all our shenanigans. I actually saw a video, and I'm gonna look so ridiculous, but like, it's a good thing to trade him, but you just like, I'm gonna die. Good boy. Take two. Good boy. So we want to essentially like idiot proof him. Like we want him to be the bomb proof, calm big fella, and that requires looking ridiculous sometimes, but it's all working out. Sometimes you just have to accept that you're gonna look a little silly sometimes. It's for his benefit. But he is.
Except most people don't blast it on the internet.
Yeah, most people don't blast their embarrassment on the internet, but you know, that's what it takes to make these bomb-proof horses. You gotta look a little silly sometimes. But I'm gonna go ahead and get his driving lines and get him ready to do a little bit of driving. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the driving lines to start. I'm gonna get the lead rope up out of the way. And I just tie it up and then lay it over the saddle so that it's not not in the way a whole bunch. And grab this line. I've been ground driving him in a halter because I'm debating keeping him bitless, since nothing that he would do requires a bit. And I just think it'd be a fun challenge. Most of the drafts that I have met can be a bit dull, and I think it would be quite nice to have a responsive and sensitive draft horse that doesn't require a big bit or anything. Because I have seen some really nice draft horses, but they tend to have a good amount of gear on them. So I'd like to try and keep things simple. I dropped everything. Simple with him and just see how he does. And I'm not against bits. I use them for Vagar and I've used them for a lot of other horses, but I do think it's kind of a fun additional challenge to try and produce the same quality of horse, performance style horse, without having to have a bit in their mouth. So I think it'd just be a fun project for me. So let's go ahead. He's all lined up. Going to get my lines around his booty. And this is one of the main reasons why we've done so much work on his hind end. Is we want to be able to be back here and be working and not be quite so concerned that he's gonna kick me in the face. So, whoo, buddy. I know you're ready to go. Whoo. Let me get everything worked out. Whoo. Whoo. You gotta be patient for a second. And now go. So he is looking for the forward when we are driving. And as you guys can see, we're already hooked up and ready to load later today. But for now, we're just going to stay in this area while we're driving. And since he's kind of new, he tends to do really big turns off of small cues. So I'm trying to get him to just give me what I ask for and not too much. But I don't want to discourage him. Like if I give him a light cue and he gives me a really big turn like that, I'm gonna let him kind of walk with it just a bit, since he is responding to a light cue. But here he's getting a little strong, trying to take me to the left side of the tree. I want to be on the right side of the tree, so I'm just holding him as he works through that thought process. And I don't know if you guys can see, ooh, from your angle, his gloriously swishy tail. I'm gonna come across the diagonal towards the camera. And actually, ooh, 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 his lead rope is coming a bit untied, so I'm going to ask him to stop while I fix that. All right. Ooh. There we go. And some of it, since he's just got that anxiety to move, it's just kind of standing and waiting patiently for him to come down. Ooh. And wait for you. So, there we go. And he kind of walks kind of squiggly. He walks a little all over the place. Yeah. So there we go. I'm gonna have you stay on this side of the field, this side of the trailer. There you go. Big turn. Nope, not that way. Yeah, he's wanting to go one way, and I'm saying we're gonna go the other way. He turned a little bit larger than I wanted, but we're getting him away from that spot he was getting stuck, so I'm gonna take him just because we got him out of there. And now we'll go back to our route again. And a lot of things with Shorty, because he was kind of dull and and not quite responsive, the way to soften that up is actually not to harp on him more, but to just kind of hold and wait. And that's how he's become so much lighter and so much more responsive. Now he lunges on a line. He's not dragging us all over the place. And that's because he's not waiting for there to be more pressure. He's listening to those softer cues and understanding that it's a communication, not just a demand. Yeah. But we're gonna do one little turn here and have him stop in the shade. Ooh. Stopped a little bit past the shade. I'm gonna see if he'll back up just a hair. There we go. There we go. And one more step.
Good job.
There we go.
Give him love.
So yeah, he deserves all the love and pets. Let me go ahead and get these lines up. While I'm further back, I'm gonna go ahead and, whoa. Whoa. There you go. Buddy, you're something else. Okay, so let's go ahead and get you all unrigged. So he's getting a lot more used to ropes and everything, working together, having him stand patiently with me. He's come quite a ways in the last few weeks. He's a very different horse than what we picked up, but I'm really happy with him. He's been very educational. Makes me think through things a lot. He's extremely different from Vagar. They couldn't be more opposite. Vagar's more business and he's more goofy awkwardness, but it's a good variety to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and untack him and get him cooled off and groomed again. We are actually getting ready to go on an adventure with the two of them. They're gonna go into some short-term boarding because we're gonna do a little bit of travel, and we're also going to capitalize on having access to arena and round pen for working these guys. We're gonna go ahead and take you guys on that adventure of boarding and training at the facility, as well as some possible adventures while we travel. So if you guys wanna see all that, drop anything you would like to know in the comments below. I love reading your guys' comments, and I'll see you guys again real soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to set your heart ablaze.